We had a couple of technical issues that we were trying to get through, but yeah, thank you all for joining us. You're live with myself, Greg Stockton, host of the Global Network.life. As always, bringing you inspirational and motivational guests from around the world to share their story, especially during the current times, to try and inspire, motivate and uplift anyone that might be feeling a little bit down, or just somebody that needs a little bit of a push, especially as we start the new week. So I'm really delighted today to have an old friend of mine, somebody that I've known for I think now coming up to 11 years. And so yeah, I'd really like to welcome Alex Flynn this evening. Welcome, Alex.
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing? Just before you started, and just to go through a little bit of the format with some people that might be new to this evening. You and I are probably going to speak for about maybe 20 or 30 minutes, do a little bit of deep dive on your sort of life journey and story. And then, as always, what I'd like to do is, because I'm trying to create a bit more of a community feel as opposed to just a webinar, is to invite anybody that has any questions to come on live and maybe just ask you something that might be at the top of their head, if that's okay with you.
That'd be fine, thanks.
Yeah. So just a bit of housekeeping, guys, for anyone that's watching. Please keep yourselves on mute. Feel free to pop your videos on if you want to and share your faces. Like I say, this is a bit of a community feel. If you do have any questions and you do want to get onto the Zoom Hangout, as we go through and me and Alex are talking, just feel free to drop me a private message in your chat box, just with the question that you might have, and then I'll bring you on once we're finished, and you can come and talk to Alex. So yeah, without further ado, mate, welcome. How have you been?
Walking upstairs.
I know you have, and we're going to get onto that in a little while. We really are, because I've been following you not all day, but I have been on Facebook a couple of times and just watched what you've been up to, and yeah, phenomenal stuff. But look, before we get on to what's happening today, obviously I'd like us just to go back to probably where your journey started. Like I say, I've known you since I think 2008, I think, when we first met in Dubai.
Give or take. Dubai was 2011.
Okay, so that was 11. That's gone quick, eh?
It has gone quick. I turned up to run a marathon, ended up being sponsored by the Beer Group, and meeting everybody there in the office. That was surreal, you know?
Yeah, phenomenal time. But look, what I want to do is I want to try and go pre sort of 2011, and obviously everyone that's just logged on has seen the VT, and you know, you mentioned obviously about getting diagnosed with Parkinson's at the age of 36, but I want to go kind of before that. What was life like before sort of diagnosis of Parkinson's? What were you doing? Talk to me about that journey up to 36.
Up to 36, I fell into law, basically. I got qualified as a barrister, cross-qualified as a solicitor, worked my way up to, well, general counsel, and it was pretty full on. I was working 20-hour days, 7 days a week. Okay. So, you know, it was all or nothing, really, and I made the mistake of working for an American company, so they have their cord of blood before they give you 5 minutes of their money, you know.
Yeah.
It was busy.
Okay, and you were doing that from the age of what to
when? Probably about 27, 29.
So 29, okay. And then outside of work, were you always into the sort of marathons, running, fitness, adventure?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was working for PPD, I was co-running legal in 38 countries worldwide. I was running 3 half marathons a week, the odd marathon the weekend, riding 250 miles a week, gym. Wow. And on top of that, being dad and everything else, so it was all jolly good fun.
So what got you into that? I mean, that's quite a heavy, I would say, fitness regime for anybody. So what actually inspired you to get into fitness and the sort of endurance events in the first place? Was it your sort of mum, your dad, friends, groups that you associated with?
I was always good at distance running when I was at school, and I ended up moving to Bordeaux to run a course at the University of Bordeaux Montesquieu-Quatre, and I just got bored of an evening, and I thought I'll go down the gym. I ended up going to the gym 6 days a week, running 22 miles over a Sunday, and running 80 miles a week. And I just got into it and carried it on. Ended up doing a marathon, and then thought to myself, how far can I go? Because I remember doing the London Marathon in 2006 and getting across the line and saying, that is as far as I will ever go. And things have just got stupid since then. Yeah, it's been good.
So the first marathon you did was what when? How old were you?
London.
In London.
In 2006, so I would have been 34.
Okay, and then the sort of feeling after that was, I've just got to keep doing more and more and more of these, yeah?
Well, it came around to about 2007, and I decided to do the Marathon des Sables in 2009.
Okay.
And I signed up in late 2007, and then, of course, I get diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2008, and I thought to myself, bugger, what am I going to do? I know, I'll just carry on and do it anyway. And I did, and I got taken out with a heart infection after getting lost in the Sahara on my own.
Right.
And that was an eye-opening and a learning experience in itself. And then I went back the next year and I completely aced it. Became 528th out of over 1,100 competitors when my body was deciding it didn't want to work, and I just ground through it.
Right. I want to kind of give you a virtual high five through the through the Zoom for doing that. But before we get into like the subs and the achievements sort of post Parkinson's, for somebody that had spent sort of 2 or 3 years diving into fitness and pushing the body and taking on various challenges, what was it like the day you got diagnosed? Like what went through your mind? How did you feel? What was the sort of initial reaction?
It was like getting punched really hard.
Yeah.
When I used to box back when I was in my early 20s, and I used to fight for Surrey County, and no, my boxing didn't have any impact on my brain. Didn't cause me any problems with Parkinson's. But getting into the ring when I was sparring with the heavyweight amateur champion of the UK, a guy called Kevin, and he used to dance in and just lay a load of shots in so he could practice his defence. And after about 6 rounds, I'm leaning on him going, all right, Kev, no problem. And just his fist the size of a bus comes around and hits you, and you see stars. That's exactly what it was like when I got diagnosed. It was like getting hit by a bus. Yeah, and quite honestly, it was, I went numb.
Mm.
I didn't at all feel any recognition of driving home. I just automatically phoned my family and my closest friends and put the phone down and picked up a bloody big whiskey and drank it.
Yeah.
And then I went and wikied it, and I thought, what an idiot I've been, because it always has these fantastic symptoms that, it's supposed to be all over the place, but everyone has Parkinson's differently.
Yeah.
That's why I call it designer disease. So whatever symptoms I may have may not be the same as somebody else's.
Mm.
At the moment, I've just taken some pills and I'm shaky because I'm on levodopa. Levodopa after a while gets you a bit shaky because it stimulates, hypersensitizes your dopamine receptors in your brain, and body just goes, ooh, over movement.
So, Alex, I can imagine for anybody that gets diagnosed with anything out of the blue, Parkinson's, cancer, anything that's going to affect you long term and potentially terminal, that feeling of numbness and, like you say, almost mind blank would certainly hit. I guess going for a large whiskey would certainly be my go-to as well. How long did you stay in sort of a state of shock, and was there a sort of a defining day or moment where you kind of went, right, I'm not going to sit and feel sorry for myself, I'm not going to let it drag me down, I'm going to get up and do something. Like what was that process and that period like?
The process was really, it was dark.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into a really dark place. You know, I gave up on a lot of things and gave up on myself for a while. And then it was actually my kids and them turning around to me and saying, "You're right, Dad." And one day I just twigged, if I'm not helping myself, I'm not helping my kids. And if I'm not helping my kids, I'm not helping my family. So I need to get my crap together and work and fight this.
Yeah. And what was that sort of time of being in that lull, let's call it?
Probably about 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months. It's a long time to be in a dark place, right?
Yeah. One which I never want to go back to be honest.
Sure. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, on this call or watching replays that probably feel like they're in a similar place as well, and that it's a struggle to get back. But let's talk about bouncing back, because you definitely bounce back in style, that's for sure, in terms of what you want to achieve. So let's start with the 10 million meter challenge. Because that didn't always start with 10 million meters, did it? What was the sort of inspiration for that, and when did that come about, and how?
That came about when I'd come back from the first MDS, and I'd obviously had this heart infection that took me out of the course and the competition. And I was sat having a cup of tea with my mate Rich, and he said, "What are you going to do? You've raised 1,500 quid for Parkinsons UK." And I said, "I reckon I can do better." He said, "How much better?" I said, "Oh, £1 million." He said, "How are you going to raise that then, mate?" And I said, "Well, my math goes a million meters, pound a meter, £1 million. I'm a math genius, you know." and then he said, "That's 620 odd miles, mate. We run a bit." And I said, "I'll do 10 times that, 10 million meters." And he said, "And only the races count." And I thought, "You bastard." And that was it. And I started entering different races, local and ultras in the UK, and it's just taken me around the world. And
that's 6,300 miles, right?
6,200 and something other miles.
Okay.
10 million meters, 10,000 kilometers of running. So do you want me to give you highlights?
Yeah. How many countries did you do that over, and how many races does that consist of?
Between 2009 and 2014, I went to 26 countries, 30 races, and yeah, saw a big chunk of the world.
Yeah, I bet you did. And were you typically the only person with Parkinson's running these races, or was there other people? You were?
No, I'm still the only one with Parkinson's to be able to do what I do.
Okay. So what is it that's like when you're going through, I mean, obviously I'm not a great runner. I mean, even running sort of 10 or 15K requires me to sort of have a lot of mental to say it. So like when you fight in the sort of mental sort of battle and the physical one as well, what is that like during a race? Tell me what it's like.
I switch off. I literally go numb in my head. And then I start organizing my life in my head. And then the pain comes. And then I put the pain in a box in my head. I figure out a white room with no windows. It's always lit in the room. And I open the door and there's a box, and I put the pain in the box, and I shut the box and I walk out the door. And that's helped me combat things like running 400 miles on a stress right tibia, breaking my ankles twice and walking on them until they've healed. You know, coming off on bike in the duathlon, separating my shoulder, breaking my collarbone, breaking my entire ribcage and puncturing both lungs. And you get to detach yourself. And it's all mental exercise. And I guess I'm good with pain. And I kind of knew that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was about 5 and my bed was up against the wall and the covers kept coming out. So I shoved my hand down the side and I got a load of paint right up to the quick end of my nail. So at 5 o'clock in the morning while everyone was asleep, I stuck into the bathroom, got a needle out of the cabinet my mum used to use to take out thorns and stuff, put surgical spirit over it, surgical spirit in my finger, and then dug right under my nail all the way up to the quick of it, the root of the nail, dug all the paint out, then surgical spirited my finger again, bound it up and went back to sleep. Didn't make a sound.
Wow. High pain threshold.
Yeah. I guess I'm pretty lucky on that front.
So would you say then, in I guess from a mindset perspective, when you do go on these runs, does it feel like almost a break from the world for you? Is that where you find your peace on a sort of trail running, or is that just where you see yourself as being able to, I don't know, just challenge your own mind and body? Do you see it as a break and peace, or do you see it as just a challenge?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
I'm honest. Because whenever I finish a race and I've organised my head, I'm zen. But obviously there's a challenge. And the challenge is that I know I'm not going to come first. But if I'm going to make it at all, I'll stand on the start line of a race and I will say every single time, today is a good day to die. Not because I want to die, but if I did, I've made peace with that.
Okay.
And I've lived about 3 lives already. So I'm sanguine, But I have every intention of becoming old and crotchety and regaling people with my stories till they had an infinitum, they get bored and buy me another drink. So that's good.
Well, I don't think people will be getting bored of your stories, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's the out of all the races that you've done and all the countries that you've been in, is there any in particular that stand out as particularly challenging, or some that you hated, or some that were quite funny to run? Like, you got any stories of any of the races that you did?
Yeah, 2 recent races were really challenging. The Fiji Lost Island Ultra, I had about 20 days to get race fit for that. And we had a cyclone at the beginning and the cyclone at the end. There was mud up to our waist. And yeah, I had to miss falling onto punji stick bamboo that was cut too short, but just still long enough to cause you problems. And yeah, it was mightily hard. I got heat stroke on the first day and carried on. And, really honestly, it was pretty tough. Primal Quest, that almost killed me.
Where's that?
That was in British Columbia in 2018. 240 miles in 4 days and 5 hours. And on the second bike stage, I came off the bike 9 times coming down the hill in the dark. And I suffered a bulging disc into my between my C4 and C5, bulging disc into my spinal cord, which I've still got to this day. I've got relative lack of feeling in your right hand.
Okay.
And it was in Big Bear country, and it was mind-bogglingly tough. You started off with a 20-mile war canoe, then you got into kayaks and did another 30 miles, and then you got on the bikes and did 60 miles, and then you're thinking, and this is all back-to-back non-stop, and you're thinking, when do I get a rest? You don't.
Yeah. In 4 days and 30 minutes, by all accounts, right?
Yeah, there were a few opportunities to rest, and I took them welcomely. So,
when do you envision yourself stopping these, or are you just going to keep going and going and going until your body tells you otherwise?
I'm going to go until I can't, and then I'll do something else. So if I end up in a wheelchair, I'll be the fastest guy in the wheelchair till I can't, and then I'll do something else. Having Parkinson's is about adaptation. We are an amazing species. We adapt to climate, terrain, and everything else, come what may. And I think adaptation is key to our existence. People who forget that don't last.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
forgive my shaking at the moment. I'm just midway through climbing another Mount Everest on my stairs,
no,
and I
that's
am
okay.
absolutely shattered.
Yeah, so that was, I was actually going to come on to that. So that's probably a good bridge into where we are right now. But so we spoke a few weeks back, and you said to me, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. I'm gonna be the first person. And I didn't actually understand what you were talking about at the time. And you said, let's just watch this space. But I think you said it's happening at home first. Again, didn't understand what you meant by that. But do you want to just explain to everybody watching actually what you're currently doing?
Okay. Long and short of it is because there's a lockdown, and we're all bored out of our minds at home because of the coronavirus. Charities have suffered immensely in Parkinsons UK, which is one of my main charities that I value and I respect, have had problems getting finance to help critical needs. Hang on. Change hands because that hand's just going bananas. Critical needs for people who are vulnerable with Parkinson's at this time. And I thought, well, I might as well do something. And everybody's run a marathon around their garden, or they've done something like climb Mount Everest up their stairs. So I thought, well, why don't I do a vertical marathon up my stairs? And that equated to 2.3 times the height of Everest. I summited the first virtual Everest in just over 24 hours and descended. So the same distance as ascent and descent of the first virtual Mount Everest, 24 hours yesterday. So I'm feeling good.
And you've been climbing the stairs for like in 10-hour, 13-hour stints, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to keep yourself busy when you're on lockdown, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been remarkably. It's like Groundhog Day. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. And you start thinking, it becomes more mental attrition than physical attrition.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to keep the mental strength to be able to keep going when everything around you is the same repetitive thing, ad infinitum for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that's just a great message for anybody at the moment that's just out there and still in lockdown and feeling that sort of cabin fever and Groundhog Day is just, yeah, it'll pass, right? And you've just got to.
Well, my way of thinking is that when this is over, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff, you know, climbing some other big mountains and running across some deserts. And, you know, I console myself with the memories I have, like running 3,256 miles across America, actually using 4 different disciplines across America, but running from London to Rome in 14 days, 1,457 miles. And the things I saw and the people I met reaffirmed my faith in human kindness and galvanized my desire to make change happen for people with Parkinson's and worse off than me. Yeah. Now, hopefully somebody will come along and help me out at some point at a later point. You never know.
Honestly, I think it's so inspiring. Obviously, what you're doing, and I'm going to go and make a donation straight after this as well, and hopefully many people do. I'll send the link around to everybody that registered for this evening. I'm obviously conscious of time and conscious of you getting back to climbing many stairs. So I just want to go on and maybe just invite a couple of people on for questions. I've got a very good friend of mine actually called Simon Putt. So he's a big marathon runner. He's just done, I think Kenya was the last one that he's done. He was going to do London, but obviously that got cancelled. So I'm going to invite Simon Putt on if he would be so kind to just take himself off video and I will unmute him and he can come on and just ask a question. Simon, if you're there, mate, just put your video on and come on.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Good evening, Alex. Thank you for that.
Hi, Simon. How are you doing?
Great story. Thank you. Yeah, no, good. Now we've got a little bit of freedom to run outside, beginning to make the most of that.
Yeah, good stuff.
It was lovely this morning to be able to run around the canal in Dubai. I haven't been able to do that for about 5 weeks. So
yeah, I bet you were hungry for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Been running around an indoor car park for the last month. So this was definitely, very welcome change. Greg mentioned, I do run a few marathons. The last one I did was actually Kilimanjaro.
Nice.
Yeah, around it, not up it, I'm pleased to say.
Tanzania.
Yeah, in Tanzania. It was lovely.
Beautiful country. Beautiful.
Yeah, great people, lovely event. Yeah, enjoyed it thoroughly. I have to say also in the same breath, I stop at 42 kilometres, or 42 and a bit kilometres. I haven't remotely broached the subject of an ultra, and I know plenty of people through my running club who have done Marathon des Sables, and no, I take my hat off to them, but I just don't have that on my agenda for the time being. So I take my hat off to anyone who's done that one, because as far as I'm concerned, it's an ultimate challenge for runners. But what I wanted to ask you, the question I had was, relating a little bit towards the Parkinson's condition, because you do a lot of these events, and they must take you to some extremely remote places. I'm sure there are times when you're just completely on your own up a mountain, or a desert, or something. So they're risky enough already. For anyone who's, doesn't have the health issues that you've got. So, how do you address that? Do you have to sort of prepare for, an onset of the illness? Do you have support with you, or are you entirely self-contained to deal in the middle of nowhere with any kind of situation that could come up?
Yeah, I'm pretty much self-contained. If bar the getting attacked by a wild animal like a bear or something like that, then I'm ready. I've got my medication in the pack, and I always take extra, and I always have 2 sets so I can give them to the medics of whatever. If the event has got medics, if it hasn't, I've got it with my team. I take whenever I'm doing a cross-continent event where I've got a support team, I've got a full medical kit, which is very, 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 very well stocked, and I always keep that up to date, so that whenever I go across borders, I also have to take medical certificates and everything else with me. And generally, I'm good. I don't tend to worry about it. The only reason why I'm shaking so much at the moment is because my body is absolutely fatigued beyond measure. And I've still got a whole lot of stair climbing to do today. But generally, my main problem with my Parkinson's is not the shaking my arm where I've taken my medication like I have now. It's stepping over invisible boxes with dystonia. And when I have a dystonic episode, like I did when I ran the London Marathon in 2018, that was 2 weeks after coming back from Fiji. And my medication gave out about 10 miles in. So for 16 miles, my foot would step over invisible boxes and smash itself into the ground at a funny angle with my toes curled underneath. Every footfall for 16 miles. It was just an exercise in pain.
Well, you did say you liked
it. Yeah. I just wanted to ask, so one follow-up question. And, I'm showing my ignorance of Parkinson's disease a little bit here, but the fact that you're doing something so physically arduous already, does that heighten risk as far as the condition is concerned, or is there?
No, I find that if I go to the extreme, and when I was going across America, I was doing 100 miles a day every day, and my symptoms ameliorated. They got less, they were lessened, and I got much, much better. Probably the reason why I'm shaking so much at the moment is because I've had very little sleep, and I've gone at things like a bull in a china shop, probably without adequate training. And so far I've done the same distance, as I said, of scaling the highest mountain in the world and descending in 24 hours. And that was pain, hurt, and just an exercise in concentration, But generally, I think the symptoms are benefited by exercise in general. So keep running, mate.
Simon, great, thank you. Really good questions. I think, Alex, you should challenge Simon to take up the same mantra of climbing his stairs in his building and see how far he gets. Okay, I want to invite Laura on. She's got quite a personal question, I think. So, Laura, I'm just going to unmute you and you can come to me.
Thank you, Alex. Your journey is incredible, and I'm sure your daughters are very proud of what you've achieved. So well done.
Thank you.
But my question to you is that my stepmom has been recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, and you touched on a little bit earlier about those hard and dark days. So from a personal perspective, what did others do around you to help you through those times?
I think one of the things that would have helped me enormously was somebody buy me a spin bike. It sounds ridiculous, but when you've got Parkinson's, the lack of dopamine also affects your level of serotonin in your body. And you need to boost your dopamine, which will boost your serotonin levels and boost your endorphins, which will make you feel better and make you feel happier and be able to combat. Somebody is desperately trying to get a hold of me, but they can go and take a running jump. And I think putting that ability to put an exercise bike in place means that that person has access to it 24/7 and do 30 minutes a day. And the difference to them psychologically is immense.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
But the one thing that I would advise not to do is to feel like you have to cotton wool them.
Yeah.
Because the Parkinson's is about losing your world around you gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's having that encouragement without cotton wooling them to be able to make them feel that they can achieve.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she wants to give me a phone call, if she's got any questions, Greg's got my number. Get my number from Greg and give me a call, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Alex, that's really kind of you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, look, I'm gonna wrap up now because I haven't got any more questions coming through, and I know you've got to get back and do all of your running.
Thank you.
Just before we do log off, though, I know we mentioned on the call a couple of weeks back. Did you mention you're currently doing a book?
Yeah, I've written a book called 10 Million Meters, warts and all, about my travels around the world and what I encountered and getting lost in deserts and jungles and stalked by big cats and chased by wild dogs and falling off things and breaking bones and running on them and everything else, and the people I met. And I'm looking for a publisher. So if anybody knows a publisher, that would be amazing.
Okay, I know a couple I can hook you up with. We'll maybe chat tomorrow about it.
Cool.
Look, I think look, your story just on this very short sort of 40-minute Zoom hangout is incredible, and I think the biggest thing I take from it is that literally no matter what shit you've got going on in your life, like as long as you keep your mind positive and you can get yourself out of that dark space, then absolutely anything is possible.
I think that 99% of achieving anything, any goal, is your mental strength, and the decision to make to do something or give yourself goals to achieve, irrespective of shaky hands, and achieving them reinforces that. And I think that that's something that we need to bear in mind. We as a species are more capable, and we are incredible, and we're stronger than we actually realized that we ever thought we were.
I agree with that. And Alex, I think you're incredible. And just to reiterate what Laura said, I think your children are obviously going to be incredibly proud of you as well. I'm really proud of you just in the time that I've known you and seen what you've been
Thanks,
doing.
Mate.
Yeah, just Parkinson's sufferers, but just people in general, just from an inspirational point of view, it's absolutely incredible. So, look, again, from myself, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak to me. And everybody on this call. It's been really
It's
nice.
It's been a distinct pleasure. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. For everybody on the call, please go and follow us on Instagram. Go to the website. This is the last episode in the first series from the Global Network.live. We'll be getting more guests on throughout May. We might even get Alex back on again because I've enjoyed chatting to him so much, and we'll see how the stair climb actually finished. But yeah, for myself, thank you everybody for logging on. Stay safe, have a fantastic week, and Alex, good luck with everything. And yeah, we'll chat probably tomorrow about the publishing, the book, and everything else. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Listen, take care.
You
Cheers,
too.
Greg.
Cheers, everybody. Good night. Thank you.
Bye.